Hi everyone, it's Cass. Welcome back to my channel, whatcassread. We're doing a little sit-down intro to the vlog today, and this is actually going to be filmed out of order because the vlog that I intended to film is not the vlog that ended out on the other side. I originally thought I was only going to do the tandem read of books 5 and 6 of Throne of Glass, so that's Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. Well, if you saw from the picture and the title, I just plowed through it and went straight to Kingdom of Ash. So now this vlog is going to be my whole completion of the Throne of Glass trilogy. So current me filming right now hasn't finished it yet. But by the end of this vlog, I will have finished it. So future me is going to be very excited and we're going to have a lot to talk about. Yeah, I'm currently on page 682. Of Kingdom of Ash. So let's get you to the beginning of the vlog. Let's get you caught up and let's go on this journey together. Let's finish this thing. Okay, I'm in the middle of a tandem read and it is late and I have both of the books here in front of me and I haven't found I'm like speaking fast. I'm so excited. I haven't found a good spot to stop before now, and this isn't even a good spot to stop. So this isn't going to be a full update, but I just want you to know that I'm in Tower of Dawn on page 124. And then in Empire of Storms, I'm on chapter 14. So what page is that? 134. Okay, that's where I currently am. I think I have just found my first real connection with at least ACOTAR and Throne of Glass. Aside from like the ominous big bad, right? But I'm with Irene in the library. Irene in the library. And she's talking about the cat and how the cats were like the guardians of the library. And that no one really knew where they came from or what kind of magical otherness about them keeps their numbers at 36, like always keeps their numbers at 36, and what happens to them when they age. There was a cat, right? What was he called? Oh my God. I don't have it in front of me. In the library, underneath in Valaris with the nuns, with the silent nuns. That was the monster, was the cat, right? Are these the same cats? Or does Sarah J. Maas just have an affinity for library cats? I just wanted to come on and record and document this. These two books are blowing my mind. I'm loving them. I will have more thoughts when I am more settled and have more things to say, but I just needed to come in here and say something about the cats. Okay, back to reading. Okay. I've officially moved to my guest room because it's late and I don't know how late I'm going to keep reading, and I don't want to keep my husband up. So I have moved into the guest room because I have just finished reading the chapter where Manon spares Asterin's life, fights her grandmother, and her and Abraxas just barely escaped. What? How? I have not found a good place to stop. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep doing this. So I guess come along with me. We'll see how late I go. Okay, so where am I? Chapter 19 of Empire of Storms, and now I have to switch back to Tower of Dawn. All right. This book is so good. I'm freaking out. The amount of times I have sworn in the last 30 pages has been insane. All right, it is Sunday, and I am still on my tandem read, so I thought I'd give an update before I begin reading again. The last time I saw everybody, I was, it was like the middle of the night. So I made it decently far. I made it like 30% into both books. And I just had to like finally like put the book down so I could sleep. Because if it had been up to me that night, I would have just tried to do the whole thing in one go. And that's not very healthy. But now we've kind of like settled into the plot a little bit more. Whereas like the first 30% of both of these books, it was definitely like, I mean, they were doing so much setup for what was to come. And there's so much action. Like, I was legit worried for Manon several times. I was legit worried for Dorian and Rowan when the wyverns and the witches sacked Rifthold. Wasn't expecting that. I really wasn't expecting that whole plot line. So like now Rifthold is under the control of Erewhon. I just wasn't anticipating that. And I'm actually really loving in Tower of Dawn. I'm loving that whole thing. And I think it's because I'm doing a tandem read. I could see how if I had to read Empire of Storms first and then go back to Tower of Dawn where all these things are happening, it might feel a little bit slow because it is the slower of the two. I don't know. I really love it. It's more court intrigue. Like all the dealings going on between the Cagnate's children. That's definitely more of like the political plotting, trying to see who's going to become the new heir, what's going to happen with that kingdom. I'm totally into it. I'm totally into that whole storyline. I'm happy that Kale is like finding some positivity, right? He's kind of got shit on for the last 4 books. I'm really happy that Kale is like, he's at the point where he and Irene are kind of doing their little dance of like, I think we like each other, and I don't think I'm interested in like who I was interested in before, which obviously means they're going to get together. I'm happy because Kale was like settling during the last book, and he was so angry. He's been very angry for the last 2 books, and I'm just happy that like despite Kale's situation and his accident, he's finding love and joy again. It's beautiful. I do enjoy that storyline. To be honest, Aylin's storyline is like the least interesting to me, even though it's still very interesting because she just took the temple back from the Our Lady, like Erewhon's forces, and she kind of had that like, I don't know, that mystical connection back to Brannon conversation, and then they were attacked. That was really, like, I couldn't find a good spot to put this book down. But I would say, like, of everything that's going on, hers is, to me, the least interesting, even though it's, like, incredibly interesting. And then we've got 2 new Fae characters, which I'm really happy to see because I have seen fan art of them and I'm like, I literally don't know who these people are yet. So it's kind of nice to like, yes, there's way more POVs that we're having to follow, but it's kind of nice to finally be getting into like our end game version of these characters. And I'm super excited. I'm really happy. So I'm currently on Empire of Storms. I just started chapter 26. And then the next pickup point for Tower of Dawn, where am I? I'm going to pick up on chapter 24. I'm really loving Kale's storyline. Oh my gosh, it's so sweet and like so deserving. Kale deserves this. Irene deserves this. It's so cute. They just had their dinner out in the street at the restaurant, and it was giving me A Court of Mist and Fury vibes when Rhys took Feyre out on a little walk and they were just chatting and talking just as like 2 people looking to find common ground. And why does Sarah J. Maas write such a good dinner scene? It's so sweet. It's so sweet. Oh my god. They're like my favorite in this round of coupling up. So far, they're my favorite so far. I don't know how many times in this vlog I'm going to say I think I'm going to push through tonight. But this time I really think I'm going to push through. Assuming that I only have like this much left to read. But that's only one book. That's like 200 pages of one book. All right, so where am I at? Chapter 53, page 494 in Empire of Storms. And then where am I at? Chapter 41 and page 466 in Tower of Dawn. Okay, so I'm whispering because it's 8:30 and literally everyone's asleep. But that's why I'm thinking that maybe I can push through, because if everybody's asleep, then I have a bunch of quiet time to read without getting interrupted. I'm serious. Kid, husband, and dog, they're all asleep. Anyways, okay, so where am I? Irene and Kale officially kissed. He stood up and pissed off the Cagnan. But him and Irene are scheming to go to the desert to try and look for those scrolls. Okay. Nesrin and Sartak have been on their side quest, going to all those Fae towers in the southern continent. And then in Empire of Storms, we've just weathered attack after attack after attack. So Lorcan and LD are now in the Stone Marshes. Is that what they're called? I keep wanting to say Dead Marsh, but that's Return of the King. Which I know that there's some criticism that this upcoming book, Kingdom of Ash, is basically the Return of the King. Stone Marshes, yeah, not the Dead Marshes. Manon and Abraxas, my little baby Abraxas, saving her by flying straight to Aelin. So adorable. But yeah, Abraxas has just been told to fly off without them, so he won't he's too noticeable. I always hate that in fantasy books. They always make the dragon companion fly off. They did that a ton in Aragon too, and Saphira was always pissed about it. Rowan and Aelin had their night. Aedion confessed to Lysandra that he loved her, basically, but they've not talked about it since that moment. Aedion and Gavriel having some father bonding moments, but not a lot. Dorian and Manon going back and forth. It's all coming to a head, and that's why I'm like, it's only 8:30. I feel like I can do this, but my battery is almost about to die too, so I don't know how many updates I'll be able to give. But I just wanted to come on here for the record. This is where I'm at. L'Oreal Chimich. I'm still waking up. I stayed up until 2:30 last night. And I finished the tandem read. I finished both of them. So I started, well, I had been reading kind of straight since like after all the football games were over. So, well, my football game was at noon. So I basically had been reading since like 4 in the afternoon and only took a break for dinner. When I checked in with y'all, it was like 8:30 when I started in earnest, thinking that I could finish it all. And then I did. It was like just one thing kept happening after another, after another, after another. There's no way I was just gonna put it down with 100 pages left. That doesn't make any sense. I am still processing everything. I gave them both 5 stars. And I think the reading experience of doing the tandem read definitely helped with that. In my opinion, if you're gonna read this all in one go, you might as well do the tandem read. I'll have to link the resource that I used, because I could never look at my phone and like figure out whose tandem read I was following, but it's a very well-known one. I looked on Reddit to see which one people recommended. And they said for like the biggest emotional payoff, the tandem read is definitely worth your time. And I would 100% agree. I don't think any of my predictions came true. Except for the 13 turning good, but they were always good, so it was just Manon that just had to realize she was good all along. Well, she's still morally gray. I don't think she's like entirely good, because she has like stated multiple times that she's like, no, I'm here because I want my kingdom back, and I want my 13 to be safe from my grandmother. Oh my God, we still haven't dealt with Manon's grandmother yet. There's gonna be a final witch showdown. I didn't even think about that. Okay, that's setting powder. I have to buy a new one. Physician's Formula Butter Bronzer. I didn't even think about that. Ooh, that makes me so excited. Little baby Abraxas coming in there to help her out at the very end. Oh my God. Okay, so obviously Erewhon is lying when he's sending all these like veiled threats to Aelin this whole time. And so he was lying about having taken Asterin captive because the 13 had fought their way out and found each other. Oh God, what a story. Obviously I'm obsessed with the witches. I need an entire story of the 13. Is there a petition somewhere that I can sign for Sarah J. Maas to give us that battle of the 13 where they all found one another and then found Abraxas and then found Manon? So one thought that I kept having like over and over again was that Aelin kind of gives me a little bit of Lochlamora in the like plotting and the scheming, and like how far in advance she plots and she schemes. So I can see why like on Book Talk there's a lot of crossover and a lot of recommendations. I mean, I would always recommend The Lies of Lochlamora, written by Scott Lynch, to anyone who wants to read it, because it is fantastic. Tarte, Amazonian Clay, Blushing Bride. And then I pretty much finish off the rest of everything with the Smashbox Cali Contour palette for like my everyday if I'm not going anywhere. Yes, I love layering blush. Always have, always will. But yeah, I can see how anyone who likes Aelin's plotting and scheming would totally be able to translate that and love The Lies of Lochlamora, because it's like next level scheming. It is, I mean, I love when things work out, so I'm not mad that things do tend to fall into place the way that Aelin plots them to. But I think what I like about her, and why I was comparing it to Lochlamora, was that she doesn't plan for the happy ending. She plans for the correct ending, because she understands everybody's motives. And she understands, I mean, she's just a realist. Because of her past, she can't not be. She's real about the likelihood of her as an individual failing in the 11th hour, right? And has built her entire contingency upon that. She's got the plans in place for it. And that's what I like about it. So I think if there were criticisms from people saying that everything works out according to how Aelin wants, I'd say that that's the character, that she's a realist. She's planning for what the real consequences are. I was hoping that Fenris and Gavriel would be released from their blood oath. But I think now some of the fan art that I've seen, it's making sense. Because I was crushed that Fenris got hauled back with Maeve, and that Lorcan has now been snubbed by Eldie. I'm really rooting for those two, so I can't wait to see how that unfolds. Obviously, I'm rooting for Lysandra and Aedion, and there's no way he's gonna stay mad at Lysandra for forever. Okay, so the question of whether or not Rowan and Aelin would be mates, that was answered. And I'm pretty satisfied with how we got there. Because I was this whole time thinking, like, I don't think it's possible for you to have two mates. But everything about their relationship is very mate-like, Rowan and Aelin. There's like nothing about it that doesn't feel like this is what they're destined to become, especially given Sarah J. Maas's track record and her love to pair people off. I feel really bad for Rowan. Just like to have been manipulated into feeling that kind of bond with someone. That's just such bullshit. Like Maeve, I really need her to die. You saw my reaction when they revealed that Maeve was a Valg queen, and I was shooketh. And now I really want to know, like, is there a difference between a Valg queen, a Valg king, a Valg princess, a Valg prince? Do they have different powers and ways of manipulating? They obviously must, otherwise Maeve wouldn't have. Well, she could have been as successful as at her evil plotting as she is. Regardless, that could just be her nature, but is it connected to her Valg powers? Like, we don't see Erewhon or the kings basically like rewriting history. That's what she did to make her plan work. And for an immortal queen, she's got nothing but time, right? So I just need her to die. A lot of revelations in the last like 200 pages. And I think it was good the way that it all played out. Like, I really do not mind. I mean, obviously we had like entire journeys to get to where we are. So it's not like the information was freely given. It's just like once we got and accomplished our quest, then it was like the deluge of information that we were given at the end. So there's a lot that I'm still trying to work through. I was thinking, like, if I had read Empire of Storms separately from Tower of Dawn, like, would I have enjoyed Tower of Dawn as much? And I honestly think that I would have, because it's an entirely different story. The excitement lies within the intrigue. The excitement lies within the court machinations and the court politicking, and really seeing who's pulling the real purse strings. And I think the payoff at the end of Tower of Dawn was equally as good as the payoff at the end of Empire of Storms. I understand that, like, it might not be the favorite in the series from people who read it when it was coming out, because I too would have been pissed if I had to read a whole book all the way back knowing some of these events, and its plot line was much slower. Like, we're not getting as many Valg attacks in Tower of Dawn as we do Empire of Storms, but I mean, the world building was there top tier for both of them, for both of those novels. Like, I got my pirates, I got sea wyverns, and then I got these rucks, giant spiders. I loved all of the southern continent. I really did. I loved all of it. I'm a little bit embarrassed that I didn't think Sartak would be named heir at the end of that book, because I thought he was just like he was just joining the fight, and like, to hell with being the ruler of his people, right? Which is obviously why he was given the position to begin with. But I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't see that coming, and that was awesome. I really love the two love stories that blossomed in Tower of Dawn. That was extremely like satisfactory, like on an emotional level. Because as I was saying when I was in the middle of it and currently reading it, that Kale deserves a good partner, and so does Nesrin. I never once, in the two middle Rifthold books, in Heir of Fire and Queen of Shadows, I never once fully bought in to their companionship. It was obvious to me that they were both just there for convenience sake to each other. Did they make a good team? Yes, and that's why they stuck around, but like, their romance was nothing more than a convenience. And so I'm really happy that Kale gets to be with someone who is so wonderful and kind and loving and smart. And I think he needs that because of like all the hatred that he has for himself. I'm interested to see where Dorian and Manon go. If they could have an honest conversation about what they are to each other, if they become anything more than this sexual tension, friends with benefits situation that they have. I don't mind it, but Dorian, I like how Lysandra understood very clearly that look, Dorian's going through some stuff, and if he wants a little strange after having this really pure human woman, if he wants to get a little weird with a witch, who are we to judge him? And I really like that attitude that she has. Pretty much everyone just kind of understood that Dorian's going through it. I just want them to have a conversation about what it could mean. But as I'm thinking this through, could it ultimately not mean anything? Because if Manon wants to go back to the Wastes and takes her place among the witches, and Dorian takes his place among his kingdom, maybe that's all they can get. Maybe their time is going to be the fleeting one. Of all these different relationships that kept tumbling through, saying it was fleeting, I wish we had more time. Maybe it is Dorian and Manon that are going to be the fleeting one, and everybody else gets something better. But I don't think Sarah J. Maas would do that. She tends to write everybody getting together. That seems to be her end game. Do we ever get an explanation of why shifters, everybody hates them? What's the lore behind that? Aside from the mistrust that they could literally be anyone, right? Or at least Lysandra can. Her powers seem to be pretty heightened. I don't know, there's a lot. This is so fresh. I only got 4 hours of sleep. And I actually am gonna jump straight into Kingdom of Ash. I don't want to sit too long with this information. I really want to just I need to know. Okay, another day of cutting labels. And I am 30% of the way through Kingdom of Ash. And this beginning 30%.
Mommy.
Yes, Ben.
A juice box.
No, you already had one of your juice boxes. Is there something else that I can get you?
What about a banana?
A banana? Yeah, we can definitely do a banana.
Are there no gone?
No, they're yellow and they're ready to go. I can get you a banana.
Can I have one?
Sure. I'll be right back. I have to get him a banana. Okay, we're back from banana business. So as I was saying, I'm only 30% of the way through Kingdom of Ash. I'm confident that I can finish it within the next couple of days. Because the weekend's coming up and, you know, I tend to be irresponsible with my sleep on the weekends. And I could probably finish it up. But the beginning has been very, very slow for me. We just got to the point where they finally rescued Aelin. And that was probably the most exciting thing to happen. It's interesting because, like, the last, I guess, books 4 and 5 had like non-stop action. There were battles, everything was scary. We were trying to figure out everything. Well, I think books 6 and 7, there's a lot more setup, you know, in the beginning, because now all the characters are on the chessboard, right? You had Kale sailing with everybody from the southern continent, and you got the healers, and you have the witches on their side quests. So like everybody's split up again. And so we're following so many different storylines, and I'm just glad to have like 2 of them converge back together. So basically the Rowan storyline and the Aelin storyline have now converged back together, because it's, you know, we're trying to get to the final battle here. What I have found to be interesting, and I don't know, like, obviously I don't know what's ahead, but I'm surprised that we spent so little time talking about Adion's first encounter with Morath. It was very glossed over, and maybe Sarah J. Maas just doesn't want to write like a huge war scene like you might find in Malice, which John Gwynne is very good at writing war scenes. So maybe that's why we did that. But I'm just kind of like interested to see what's ahead if we're glossing over, like we've been talking about meeting Morath like on the field of battle for 6 books now. And the first encounter that we do that, it was very like bird's eye view, glossed over. So there's got to be something, obviously there's something bigger ahead. And does that mean that like Morath, we've now transitioned into the fact that Morath is not the biggest threat, and the biggest threat is back to being Maeve? And there might be a bigger final showdown with Maeve instead of Morath, which is what we've been building up to. Back in the reading spot, after dinner. It is now 7:30 on Friday, and I'm on page 340 of Kingdom of Ash. So I had to like stop filming because my son flooded the bathroom. I had to go clean that up. But I think what I was trying to say was basically I should have just put it together, because Sarah J. Maas has now flipped the main enemy on us at least 3 times. That the final boss is Maeve. If Sarah J. Maas is not concentrating on these battles with thousands of people in Morath's army that makes me think that the final boss is Maeve and the army that we just found out she is gathering. Okay, I'm already here with my first update of the night. Dorian and Manon just had their first fight. I have not loved them together in this book as much as I loved the little dance of the will they won't they in the last book. Because them together right now is pretty toxic. Because Dorian's just trying to like run away from his failures and his past and his failure to his human girlfriend. So he's just like in this dark spiral. And I wonder how that's going to resolve itself. I have another update because I don't think I got a chance to talk about Fenris and Connell. I was super shocked. I don't know. I don't think he hated Fenris. I think maybe Maeve either poisoned him or made him say it, just like she made him drive the dagger into his heart. That's what I think. I'm shocked. I was so shocked. The rescue, and for Aelin to also involve them in rescuing Fenris, that healed a part of me that I didn't know that needed healing. That whole rescue scene was probably my favorite so far. I like this casual perch that I've created for myself. So I am currently on page 682 of Kingdom of Ash. I don't know if I'm crazy enough to finish it tonight. It's a casual 300 pages, right? Left to the finish line. And I think I could do it. Like, I think the day is young enough. Maybe I won't pull another till 3 a.m. read. And if I do, oh well. Because it's Thanksgiving week this week and I don't know when this is going to be published. So this vlog has like now encompassed 2 weeks. But I'm so close. I'm so close, right? I should just finish it. And then I can post this vlog and then maybe I can read some other stuff during the holiday week. Ooh. Okay, so from the last check-in that we've had about Kingdom of Ash, I've had some very strong opinions and feelings about Dorian. And now that I'm at the point where I'm at, where Dorian has redeemed himself in my eyes, I'm feeling okay. But there was a good 100 pages in there where I was ready to fight Dorian for how idiotic he was being. So stupid. I full on believed that he had given up all hope of saving everyone and siding with Maeve. I thought he had some tricks up his sleeve and that he wasn't going to side with Maeve. But him just like abandoning Manon like that, I was like, unforgivable, dude. The way that he was treating her, I was like, unforgivable. And then when he gets caught by Maeve when he's in Morath, and this alliance that they had, I was like, what are you doing? So I've now gotten to the point where he revealed his cards and he's not actually sided with her, but there was a moment in there. There was some panic that I was feeling. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I would say the battles have picked up. Definitely the one in Anil. I loved that one. That one was so great. So if we kind of glossed over how badly Aedion was losing so we could get some real in-depth battle sequence scenes for Anil, I'm cool with that as long as we can get our asses in gear and catch up to Aedion because he's about to be smushed and squashed and our armies are just a touch behind. Why can't we catch up? So that's where I'm at right now. And I think, again, I don't know, I believe I could finish it today. I don't know. Okay. So I'm on page 682. Let's go. We are at the end. I have officially finished Kingdom of Ash. It's been maybe 3 or 4 days. I've kind of taken a little bit of a break since finishing. So my thoughts are a little bit more settled than they were when I first finished the book. And, this was a journey. This was a journey for me. But Kingdom of Ash itself, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, but I give it like a soft 5. It isn't, the favoritist of my 5 stars. I don't think it's the best book in the series, but I do like what I read. I do like almost everything in this book. When I first finished it, I wanted justice for Manon so hard. And if I don't ever read about this character ever again, all I want to know is, in my heart of hearts, that she is happy and safe and loved and cherished among the witches. Because the 13's sacrifice really affected me. That was like the biggest blow in this whole book. And I read that scene right before I took a break to eat dinner. So I was like in my feels while I was eating dinner. And my husband looked at me, he goes, "Did someone die?" Because he came up to like the loft area to come get me, and I was like, now's not the time. I like put my finger up, I was like, don't interrupt me right now. So I get downstairs to eat dinner, and he was like, "Did someone die?" And I was like, "Yes." And he goes, "It was one of those big sacrificial deaths too." I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Yeah, I've seen that face of yours before." Oh, it just really, I need Manon to thrive. I need Manon to be happy. That's the ending that I want to see. Yeah, I can safely say the witches storyline was like my favorite. I don't know, it's so hard. It was at the top. It was at the top of the storylines for me. I couldn't, I'm still clearly grieving over that. But then Murtaugh also dies, and I wasn't ready for that. And we only meet him every now and again, but like the connection that we feel with him instantly when we see him with Evangeline. And just like, he was always so level-headed and always on Aylin's side. It was a real shame, his death, but it was defending the castle. Gavriel, listen, I think I'm going to be bitter about that too, because I wanted the reconciliation for Adion and Gavriel. I wanted that for them. I wanted that for them. I wanted so much more for them. And one thing that I would have liked to see was like Rowan, Lorcan, Fenris. I would have really liked to see maybe their grief last a little bit longer, like a scene, because we kind of like fade and let them grieve in private. And I kind of would have liked the impact of their grieving their brother for centuries. I think it would have given me equal level feels the way that we get the 13's sacrifice from Manon's perspective, to see the rest of the Fae and their thoughts and their feelings about Gavriel. Oh, there were just a lot of good scenes at the end. There really were. I wasn't disappointed with this ending whatsoever. I remember when this book came out that there was a lot of, hype, because this is like a very anticipated finale to a series. And some of the detractors and some of the criticisms were like all of the couples, all of the fade to blacks. We don't get like full on steamy sequences. I don't think I needed that though. And Sarah J. Maas is always going to Sarah J. Maas and pair people up. And this was the thought I've been having over the last couple days, is that I think my attitude toward this would have been vastly different if I had read this when I was purely a fantasy reader. before I had ever branched out into romance. And now that I can say that I've read some like wonderful, fantastic romances, that the romance genre gives you a happily ever after, and it's the journey of the characters of how we get there. So the fact that all these couples are getting happily ever afters, with the exception of Dorian and Manon, I think she can do better than Dorian. I'm just a little bit disappointed in Dorian's treatment of her. He tried to make it up to her. I get it. There's going to be a connection there, but Manon, I just need Manon to thrive. Anyways, if I hadn't been someone to open my mind to romance as a genre and understanding that there's always going to be these conflicts to get us to the happily ever after, because we know that's the end of the story. And if I had just come at from a fantasy perspective, like I've done for so many years, I would have probably been more disappointed than I was. Because fantasy, I want consequences. And there were plenty of consequences. But the newfound romance reader within me was very satisfied that we got our happily ever after. Turns out I'm someone that needs that. I'm really gonna have to do a review of the series as a whole, because the series as a whole has been a journey for me. I have to eat my words and put this series at the top of my favorites now. It's been skyrocketed and cemented into the top 10. And I didn't see that coming, but everything book 3 onward is absolutely deserving of being in my top favorite of these fantasy series, where I'm talking excellent, clever world building, wonderful characters, just a plot that's just gonna keep you on your toes. I don't know the order that it's gonna be placed yet, but it is now officially in the top, with the exception of the first 2 books. And I was having some difficulties with that. Like, does this deserve to be in the top? And I think it's a moment where I have to check my internal bias towards Sarah J. Maas, because like, if it was any other author, would I be critiquing it this much? Like, if it was a John Gwynne book, would I be critiquing it this much? Christopher Paolini, would I be critiquing it this much? Brandon Sanderson, would I be critiquing it this much? And the answer that came to me was no. It would just automatically become a top favorite, no matter how rocky of a start it got off to. So I'm gonna do a full review of this whole series. I don't know when that's gonna happen. I don't know when that's gonna go up. Now the sun's in my eyes. But just know that it has now taken shape and taken place. And now it's in the top 10. And I have to eat my words and give Sarah J. Maas her flowers. The thing that frustrates me the most about her, though, is that she's very inconsistent with my enjoyment level, because I know what's coming with House of Earth and the Crescent City series. Okay, I am gonna be now moving my vlog to some Stephen King books. I have now read 10 Sarah J. Maas books in a row, and I need to just take a pause. It's the end of the year, and I need to get some of my other reading in. So that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be a very short pause before I jump back into A Court of Frost and Starlight, and then A Court of Silver Flames. I'm pretty excited about that, because I just really want to see what Nesta is up to. So that's what I'm going to do for just like a quick little brain break, and then we're gonna jump back in, and we're gonna get this Sarah J. Maas train going again. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have managed to stick it out this far through the 3-part vlog series of me reading Throne of Glass, what a journey. I'm really happy that you're here with me. So if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. You know, we need the engagement up, so that way we can help my channel to grow, but also so that way I know that you're watching these vlogs and just enjoying yourself alongside me. Yeah, I'm having fun, and I hope you are too. All right, social media, all those fun things, so small business links, all those fun things, all those links are down below. You know how these videos end. I'll talk to you later. Bye.